Hey guys, what's up? Card here, and today I'm here with the Prism deck profile. So with the updated cards from the new set, Prism got some support, and this deck uses some of the new support, not all of it, but yeah, this deck has been working pretty well for me so far. I didn't have the best of draws during my playtesting, but even with that, the results were pretty good. So let's start off with the starting Vanguard, running a Sapphire, brand new Prism Sapphire. So her skill is, if a grade 3 or above unit with Prism in its name is placed on your Vanguard circle, you can choose one of your Prism rear guards and bounce it to your hand. So you don't always use her effect, but she's really handy when you do need to use it. So yeah, if your opponent kills her off, it's not that big of a deal, but it's fine. Her effect comes in pretty handy sometimes. So yeah. Next we're running 2 Garnet. So Garnet is the new grade 3 Prism. Her skill is Limit Break 4. When this card attacks, you can choose 3 units with Prism in its name and call it 2 separate rearguard circles. If 3 units were called, if 3 units are called, then this card gets a new skill, Limit Break 5. When this card gets +1 drive, so it becomes 3 drives. And the second skill is kind of lost 1 Prism card. When a unit is bounced from your rearguard circle to your hand, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your units, and it gets +$5 in power. So she's a very useful card, but since she's Limit Break 5, we're not going to run too many. And yeah, 2 is a pretty good number for me so far. And the times I do need her, I get her. So yeah, waifu power. All right. Next, we're running 3 Labrador. Labrador is the old card from EBO6. So yeah, she's still pretty handy. Limit Break 4. When this card Vanguard attacks the Vanguard, you can choose 3 units with Prism in its name and call it 2 separate rearguard circles. And if 3 units were called, this card gets +10,000 power and extra critical. And then the second skill is kind of lost 1 Prism card, and you can choose 1 Prism card rearguard and bounce it back to your hand. Mainly you're just going to use Vert for her second effect, but her first effect comes in kind of handy if you need to, if your opponent is great stucking you or something like that. You can still have access to your Limit Break, and you can clear off your field with the second effect. So overall, she's still in my opinion, she's still a better Vanguard than Garnet, but you know, in different situations, they have different uses. So, right, next we're going to run 4 Vert. So, skill is Limit Break 4. When a Bermuda Triangle unit rides on top of this card, you can draw a card, and you can choose 2 of your Bermuda Triangle rear guards and bounce them to your hand, and then this card gets +10,000 power. So you gotta draw 1 and you get +10,000 power, which is pretty good because you do need to discard for Vert's effect, or the Stride's effect, and being able to draw 1 makes things a little better, I guess. Next we're running 4 Celtic. I think his name is Celtic. Her name. Skill is Vanguard Rearguard Circle, kind of lost 1 Prism card. When this card attack hits, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your rear guards and bounce them to your hand and then draw a card. She's a really good ride. She's also very good at putting pressure on your opponent. People always underestimate this card because people think it's not that good because you need a hit, but she's really good early game and mid game, especially during the phase where you're striding into the Emmy stride, the Labrador stride, I mean. So yeah, her becoming instantly forming a 15k guard column makes her pretty scary because of her on hit pressure. So yeah, it's a nice card, and she combos really well with the critical trigger. Your opponent is probably going to try to guard it, but then they don't want to guard it because if they get a trigger, then you're going to get your attack through, and then you get a search for a grade 3, and you get a draw card. So that might be off-putting for your opponent. Next, running the 12k attacker for Prisms, and she's still a good card since there's a lot of times where you want to rush your opponent. Her being a 12k attacking a 7k is pretty good. And you can also attack with her by herself if you don't have any boosters, which happens sometimes. Or if you want to call the critical trigger to attack with, you still hit a 16k column. So overall, the 12k attacker is still pretty good. Next, we're running 3 Spica. Spica is mainly here to have you get extra attacks in so that you can force more guard of your opponent's hand so that they have less cards to guard with when you're doing your Vert combo. So, yep. And she's still a really good card. The price for her doesn't lie. She's probably she's the most expensive double rare in the actually she might be one of the most expensive cards in her set so far. In the first Bermuda extra clan booster. For grade 1, we're going to run 3 of the promo. Karen, something like that. Karen, I think her name is Karen. Her skill is kind of +1, so +1 when this cards bounce from your rear guard circle to your hand. If you have a Bermuda Triangle Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card. So since this deck doesn't use doesn't use Soul Blast that much, her Soul Blast is not really that bad. And some people might ask, why aren't you running Amelia instead? It's because she's not Generation Break restricted. So you can pop her behind here if... This is assuming that you have 2 damage. If your opponent's trying to counter rush you or something, then yeah, you're going to have enough counter blast, and you're going to have Soul to fuel her cost. Especially since, yeah, let's want her. We're going to run 3 Liet, so since she Soul charges, and this deck doesn't use Soul, you're just going to have extra Soul in your... You're going to have extra Soul anyway. So, being Soul Blast is not that big of a deal. So next, we're running 3 Princess Liet. Prism Promise Liet. Princess Liet. Our skill is, when this card's bounced from the rear guard circle to your hand, then if you have a Prism Vanguard, you can counter charge 1 and then Soul charge 1, and then you can choose one of your units and it gets plus 4,000 power. And then during this turn, you cannot normal call this card. A card with this name anymore. Which is fine, you're just going to call them out first, and then you bounce them after that. Which is fine because you can call them out with Labrador and Garnet's effect, so there's superior call. You can also call it with Speak if you want, but it depends on the situation, I guess. So overall, she's mainly here to help you counter charge, because this deck, it's not super counter blast heavy, but you will be using quite a lot of counter blast if you're planning to search for your verts with this, and if you're planning to use Speakas. The shreds itself don't really use that much counter blast. So next, we're running 2 Limit Break enablers, mainly there for when you need it. You don't really need it all the time. The only time that I have needed her was when my opponent was stuck at 2, and I don't really want to have a vanilla Vanguard, so I popped out a Limit Break enabler, and then I just smacked my opponent's face with 2 crit with the Labrador, and it was great. Next, we're running 2 Stride Fodders. Since we're running 9 grade 3s, 2 is fine, and the grade 1 lineup is pretty tight. Honestly, the ratio between how many Karens you want and the Limit Break enabler, if you want to be able to Limit Break more safely, I guess you can run more enablers, but if you want to have more draw power, running Karen is probably better. So there's that. And for Perfect Guards, running 4 Perfect Guards, the Prism Perfect Guard, Prism Duo Perfect Guard. And for the triggers, we're running 4 of the Vert Searcher crit. So running 12 crit in total, and running 4 heals. So let's explain this crit. So this crit is pretty important because you can counter blast 1, reveal this card to your opponent, and then you basically shove her back into your deck and search for a. You can search for any of the 3 that like the other 2, but which I did not run. But basically, you search for those. So you're just gonna search for Vert, and then yeah, you normal call. You call that unit, and then you bounce it to your hand. So, yeah. So yeah, she's pretty good because it makes things a bit more consistent, and it does again put some pressure on your opponent to see whether they want to guard or not. If they do guard it, that's fine because then you just have this on your field. This thing will stay on the field so that you can bounce it next turn when you ride your rate 3. So you ride and then you activate her skill to bounce her to pay for her cost, and then you can search your deck for another one of these and use it as stride fodder. So yeah, no big deal. If you don't want to run 4 Vert, you can run 3 and replace it with another grade 2. But I like running 4 Vert for consistency. And worst come to first is the 11k attacker. Since you can just bounce it back to your hand and use it as stride for next turn, I don't really see a problem there. Alright, so for the strides, we're going to run this card, the Prism Duo from Farthest Collection. So when her attack hits, if you have a Prism Heart, you can choose one of your rear guard and bounce it back to your hand. And if you have a Prism Heart, you can choose a card from your hand and call it to a rear guard circle, and then that you can get plus 5,000 power, and then you don't need to worry about the duo effect. So basically, you just get you attack, hit, and then you get a call, bounce and call, and then it gets another attack. I don't really use her that much because I'd rather use Labrador. God damn it. But I can see how she does come in handy sometimes. Like if you don't have enough units or something, then she might be handy. But for most part, we're gonna use Labrador. So her skill is once per turn you can G flip one Labrador, and then if you have a Prism Heart, you can choose 2 rear guards, and then you get plus 5,000 power, and then a new skill. And the new skill is when this unit attacks or boosts at the end of the battle, you can return this card to your hand. So since the targets are not Prism restricted, you can target Karen to bounce her and pay for her cost to draw. So if you have two of them, you profit. It's pretty good. That's why some people might debate running Amelia, but I honestly don't have the space. I'd rather have some more Prism grade 2s to work with, because Spica, I'd rather have the Spica extra attack than the Amelia draw. Because Spica, there's no alternative. There's not really a grade 1 version of Spica I can run, but there's like a grade 1 version of Amelia that I can run. So why not run the Amelia grade 1 instead, right? So, yep. And then running 4 Vert. Vert is obviously the new Stride unit for Prism. And the skill is Limb Break 4, G flip 1 Prism, one of her, so you G flip herself. And then you have to ditch 3 cards from your hand, that's the cost. And then when this card attacks at the end of the battle, if you have a Prism Heart, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 2 of your Prism rear guards and bounce them to your hand. And then put this card back to your G zone, and then from your hand you can choose a Prism grade 3 and ride it as stand. So the bouncing for her is optional. So if you don't have enough units to bounce, or if the units aren't Prism, then you don't have to bounce them. So if you want, the way you do have to bounce these, if these are like stuck in your field, you just have to break ride onto, because this will be in the heart. Most of the time it will be. Sometimes you won't, but depends on the situation. So this will go, and then you ride. Let's say just ride Labrador. Break ride. Nextage the hand. Draw for your break ride, and then you can pay for her cost and draw. And then when you attack, you just call 3 units, and probably not going to call this. I mean, you can't call this because it's not Prism. But anyway. Brain farts. I slept at 6 yesterday. 6 a.m. So don't blame me if I'm sounding a little tired. Alright, so next we're running 2 Olivias. Olivia is the Ultra. You guys probably don't need explaining. And G-Guard, we're going to run 2 of the ones from Product Collection. So when this gets placed on Guardian Circle, you can reveal 1 grade 1. And if you have a card on your field with the same grade as that, then you get this card gets plus 5,000 power, so it becomes like 20k shield. We're on a Screw. You guys know what Screw does. And then we're going to run 2 Hand-in-Hand Liana. So her skill is, once this is placed on the Guardian Circle, you can choose one of your rear guards and return it to your hand, and then choose one card from your hand and put it in the Guardian Circle. If the unit you call to the Guardian Circle has the same name as the unit you called from your that you return back to your hand, then this card gets plus 5,000 power. So basically, what you do is use this as G guard if Karen's on your field or something, bounce it to your hand, and then call Karen. Then you'll have a 25k guard, and then you can counter boss 1, soul boss 1 for Karen's skill because you did bounce her, so that you can draw a card. It's pretty good because you can draw on your opponent's turn. It's always kind of handy. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck. It's a very fun deck. It's probably one of my favorite Bermuda decks to play. It's probably because I played this deck for so long. I've been playing Prisms since, well, EB06. So yeah, the deck changed quite a bit, I guess. Well, not. I guess it was okay. The changes are okay, and it's very, very welcome. The new stride they have is definitely pretty strong. People always compare it to Nextage, which I can see why, but there are sort of differences, but let's not nitpick. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this video. Oh god, you're gonna go sleep. This is Karataku, and I'll see you guys later. Sorry if I didn't explain things that clearly, but obviously I'm like half conscious right now, so conscious right now. So, conscious right now. So, I'll see you guys later. Bye.